I found her in the nursery, her white dress soaked in red as she rocked the tiny body back and forth, singing a lullaby I will never forget. My hands were shaking so hard I thought she had heard me. I pressed myself against the wall, trying to keep my breathing quiet, but I couldn't look away. She didn't know I was there, or maybe she didn't just care. She held the baby close, rocking it gently in her arms, humming her strange little song, a tune that somehow felt familiar and terrible all at once. I will tell you what happened. You might not believe me. Most people in the village don't. They think I have lost my mind, but I know what I saw. We grew up in a quiet little place, the kind of village where everyone knew everyone. Nothing ever really changed here. There was the inn, the blacksmith, the bakery. Families lived in the same house for generations. Our only connection to the outside world was the castle sitting on the hill, just a little ways off from the village, shrouded in fog. The princess lived there. People said that she was kind, that she had a gentle heart. She would visit us sometimes, bringing bread or flowers. Mothers adored her. They would gather around, talking and laughing as she held their babies. And she always wanted to hold them. She had this way of cradling them, looking at each one like they were the most precious thing in the world. But that's why the strange things started happening. Babies were dying, not all at once, not in any way that felt obvious. It would just be one here, then a month later another one there. But it was easier to explain it away. Babies are delicate. Sometimes things just happened. The princess would come to every funeral. She would kneel by the graves, her eyes full of tears, her voice soft and mournful. People said she had such compassion that it hurt her deeply to see our pain. We thought we were lucky to have her. Then it happened to my family. My sister had a baby boy. The joy he brought to our family was like nothing else. She named him Eli, and he was the light of her life. She held him close, always fussing over him, never letting him out of her sight. So when the princess came by to visit, it felt like a blessing. She held Eli in her arms, humming her lullaby, the same strange tune I hear her sing to all the other babies. My sister was so happy, so proud. The princess smiled down at him, her eyes bright as if she was sharing a secret with him. But that night, he didn't wake up. My sister screamed and screamed when she found him. She fell to her knees, holding his tiny lifeless body, rocking back and forth. It didn't make any sense. Eli had been perfectly healthy, so full of life. That was the moment something broke in me. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I kept thinking about how the princess had held him, how she had watched him with that strange look in her eyes. I thought of all the other babies who had died, and I knew deep down that I couldn't let it go. I had to find out the truth. That night, I snuck out of the house. The village was silent, the moon hidden behind thick clouds. The castle loomed in the distance, its windows dark and empty. The doors were unlocked. She doesn't have guards, doesn't seem to need them. I crept inside, my heart pounding, my breath tight in my throat. The walls were cold, the air thick with the smell of old stone and damp wood. I felt like I was trespassing in a place I didn't belong, but I couldn't turn back. Eventually, I found a small room tucked away at the end of a long hallway. It looked like a nursery with old wooden toys scattered across the floor, a small crib in the corner. There were no sounds except my own breathing. And then I heard it, a soft, low humming, coming from the room just beyond. That same lullaby. I edged closer, peeking around the corner, and there she was, the princess. She was holding something in her arms, wrapped in a small blanket, cradling it close to her chest. I could see a bit of tiny hand peeking out from the blanket, unmoving, lifeless. She looked down at it with an expression I can only describe as satisfied. She whispered to it, words I couldn't hear, and then pressed it gently against her cheek, as if it were a real baby, as if it were something precious and alive. My stomach twitched. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Then, as if she sensed me, she stood up and turned around. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment she looked almost startled, but then she smiled. "Come closer," she whispered. I didn't move. She kept watching me with that strange look. "You are frightened," she said, "but you don't need to be. I am only giving them peace." My throat felt tight, my mouth dry. I couldn't understand, didn't want to understand, but I had to know. "Why?" I asked. She looked down at the bundle in her hands, a strange softness in her eyes. "Because they are mine," she answered. "They belong to me, each one I hold. I take a piece of them with me. It is a bond, a connection that can't be broken. They are safe with me." "I don't expect you to understand," she continued. "People like you live your small lives, clinging to your children as if they are truly yours. But they are not. They never were." I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet, my heart racing. Somehow I managed to make it to the door, my arms trembling as I pushed it open. I ran, not caring if she heard me, not caring about anything, but getting as far away from her as possible. No one believed me when I told them. They shook their heads, pity in their eyes. They thought I had been broken by grief, that I was imagining things, seeing evil where there was none. Even my sister in her sorrow couldn't accept it. The princess continued to visit. She held babies, sang her lullaby, and every so often another child would pass, just like before, but no one said a word. I became an outcast. People avoided me, whispered behind my back. They would look away when they passed me in the streets. But I know what I saw. I know what she is. So now I just keep my distance. I stay away from the village. I keep to my room and I watch from afar. I have learned to keep my silence, to live with the knowledge that she's still there, cradling her stolen children, singing that lullaby. Trust no one who comes to you dressed in kindness. The quietest evil often hides behind the gentlest smile. You know, I wrote this story because the society is becoming more evil and things are getting harder, and we as adults must look after our children and teach them to be careful when they are not in our presence. Did you enjoy this story? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video and share with your friends and family. Thank you for watching. May we all be prosperous. Bye.